Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. It's Friday and we have a bank holiday coming up, so we can all look forward to that. Today I have a super special guest, the most special guest yet. We've got our very own Ella Clasper. So thank you for joining us today.
I've never had an introduction like that ever before, ever. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's that's a thing. It's have to do it. It's weird because it's kind of like I never intended for it to be that way, but like I always start with the stream soon, like starting screen. So it's always like a reveal when we get the guest, and it's like and then I don't know, it just kind of
Like the
naturally happens.
curtains.
It's like today we have today. It's like and then yeah, that's kind of how it's just naturally ended up happening.
You should have had like intro music for everyone, as if they're coming into like a fight,
The own
like
theme,
boxing or something.
like a
Yeah.
theme for each person. Definitely,
Yeah.
that's a
And
very
you
cool
can like
idea.
full on be like, it's whoever it's
Yeah, yeah,
Casper, like the
yeah.
full
There we go.
on like weird title. Yeah.
Definitely.
You
That's
should
yeah.
I think you should bring that in as a feature.
Totally. I mean, that could be the future thing. I can't see why not. So
And not tell people. I think that would be even better because they would just be like, "What's going on?"
that's it. Exactly. So yeah, guys. If you don't, I mean, I'm pretty sure you all know who Ella is, but if you don't, she works with Media Savvy. She's part of the team. And yeah, I mean, you've like Ella. The thing about Ella is that like she's got such a diverse set of skills that it's difficult to pin it down just to one title. So I think we kind of decided on Content Wizard was one of them, but
Yeah,
professionally speaking, I would say illustration is one of that's like one of the things that you've studied and stuff,
yeah.
right? So that's one of your like ultimate skills, we could say.
Uh, it's yeah, probably like my 5-star skill.
That's the
Like
one. There you go.
that's the thing I like doing the most
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Any chance I get to draw something is good. So
Absolutely,
um,
dude. But yeah, you do all sorts with us. Obviously, a bit of design stuff as well, and then obviously
yeah,
social media stuff as well, right?
yeah. I think most people, if they've come across me through teaching or whatever, probably come across me through social media. That's what I kind of tend to teach the
Yeah,
most of, as a sort of specialist or whatever.
for
So,
sure.
but it's just something that I've gotten into through working at Media Savvy as well. So it's been interesting. So just to do like loads of different things, really. I just try and do whatever I can.
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing, and that's why obviously I think you're one of the things that makes you such an asset to us is just obviously the fact that you can lend your hands to so many things. Obviously, like great illustration, social media, good writer. It's like so. It's obviously great that you're able to kind of do those different things. So I think that's so cool. In the chat, we have Sue who is saying that her cat's in a bad box because she's hidden a camera USB wire. and
oh, oh,
then yeah, so then Susan, I didn't give Ella the royal fanfare, and she says, "Well, hey, hi Ella." So hello, and then we've got
hi.
Lynn said hello everybody, and yeah, Sue has said the multi-talented multitasker Ella, and Gary said hello as well. So got a few people in, so it's all good.
I should come here. I should be a guest more often. It's a bit
Definitely.
of an ego boost, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you're the guest today in a sense. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be an
it's kind of weird.
Ella themed
Um,
episode. Okay, um,
Scary.
dude. So one of the guys, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, okay? But it's not like a
Oh
major thing.
no.
But it's like something that you're never gonna be able to answer because it's too difficult. But that's why I did kind of my own one,
Okay.
just to kind of give
Okay.
you um an example or to give you some like
Okay.
inspiration because if I just
Okay.
asked you straight by the way it's never made it but if I just asked you like straight off it would be like you'd be like oh like I don't know which one to think of but so the question is
Okay.
your 5 favorite rock albums. Obviously rock is like a
Oh
coverall
my
term
God.
and it includes so many different subgenres of music so it's so insane but generally speaking 5 favorite rock albums obviously then you could go, well, you're saying classic rock, or you're saying metal, or what kind of rock are you talking about? Because there's just so many subgenres in the rock category. But just generally speaking, rock. So I make it a bit broader. I picked five for you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you my five, and then it might give
Okay.
you some inspiration as to what you could put.
Okay.
Okay, so the number one for me, like it's in no order, it's just a top five, but like
Okay.
the interchangeable easily. So my
Okay.
top number one was Master of Reality, or Masters of Reality by Sabbath,
Oh,
because
that's
I,
a
I
good
was looking for
choice.
the yeah, I was looking for the discography, and I was thinking which one of these is my favorite, and then I was thinking Paranoid's great because it's got a lot of the like most famous hits.
Mm.
The self-titled album's great. Sabotage is a really underrated album. Um,
Yeah, really underrated.
and I was thinking like which
Definitely, I
one.
would say it's yeah. If I you've made us think about Sabbath, and I think if Sabbath's gonna make my list, I
Mm-hmm.
think for me it's got to be Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Sabbath Bloody Sabbath,
That's
yeah, that's a fantastic album. That's a really good
that's so
album.
good.
Yeah, but when I was looking for
I
the master,
believe it's the. Sorry, I was going to say I think it's one of the only ones that they ever had any critical success for. Critics really didn't
right?
like Black Sabbath,
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah,
especially
yeah,
for their first few.
yeah.
But it was the only one that people were like, actually, this is really good. So,
Let's have a look at the
um,
track
but
list
yeah,
because I was looking through the Master Reality track list, and I was thinking like all of these songs like absolutely rock, like Into the Void and stuff like that. It's just so heavy.
Into the Void's amazing.
There's
Yeah.
so many good tunes on that album. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was absolutely awesome. I'm looking at the track list and now, yeah, it's so good. Killing Yourself to
Yeah.
Live. That's such an amazing song.
And they all are. They're so good. I think
Yeah,
that the album goes through a lot of different sort of there's a lot of different sounds on
yeah,
there. There's
for
like
sure.
some synth sounds. There's
Yeah,
obviously
true.
just riff after riff. But then you've got like instrumental tracks and stuff in it
Yeah,
that are like instrumental acoustic tracks and stuff that are also really really good.
true. Yeah.
So and it's
Um,
got the cover itself. If you've ever like if you haven't seen it, definitely have a look at it because
yeah,
the front and back cover are fantastic as well. So just really great artwork on there and stuff. So
definitely,
but
hundred
yeah,
percent.
that
Yeah, and so yeah, just looking at the track listing for Master Reality, and like, yeah, Sweet Leaf as well. Like that is
oh
such
god, yeah.
an amazing track. It's like there's just so many tracks on that album which are just like so like insane. Yeah, I'm looking at the cover right now for Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and it looks so sick, so cool. It seems like something very like
Yeah,
Ella Clasper kind of esque. Let's have a look here. Yeah.
um, I believe
So
it's like
six
I
six
think
six on the
the
band.
idea is that it's yeah the guy's sort of I don't know if he's like having a nightmare or something like that, and he's being pulled either towards heaven or towards hell. So the
Wow,
back and the front are like sort of mirror images of each other and stuff. Really cool.
very cool. Yeah, man. So that was my Sabbath album.
Okay.
And this album number two, I think we spoke a
Okay.
little bit about this one, so I think that you will kind of you'll agree. But I don't know if it's your favorite album, but I know that it's up there, like your favorite rock album
Mm.
from this band, maybe even. But I know that it's definitely up there. But it would be "Free" by Zeppelin. So that's my number two.
Number three, as in
My
let's
number two is Zeppelin number three. So
okay.
right,
Just checking.
yeah,
Just checking. Yeah. Three is actually my favorite as well.
right,
There
yeah,
would definitely have to be at least one Zeppelin album.
of course,
If somebody asks me straight off, like, who's your favorite band, I would just say Led Zeppelin straight away because it's an easy answer, and
yeah,
I could listen to Zeppelin forever. But
so good.
three's my favorite. It's the one that I heard first and got me into Zeppelin.
It's
It's a
so
lot more
good.
folky than some of the others, but just really great sound. I would say I kind of feel like your favorite and your best might be like two different things here. Like I feel like the
No, that's a good
best
point.
Zeppelin album
Yeah,
is four or four symbols or whatever,
yeah,
but I think that my favorite is three. So
that's a good point. So yeah, just looking a little bit at the track list here for free, and I pretty much like every single track. So we got number one, which is "Immigrant Song," which is a song that probably, if anybody knows any Zeppelin songs, they know that song.
Definitely.
One of the most famous songs, up there with like "Stairway" in terms of like popularity. Great song,
Yeah, I would
obviously.
say so.
"Friends" is just really good. I'm sure that's quite acousticy, right? It's quite, this album's more
Yeah,
acousticy,
it's
I think.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Did you
Um,
know that Celebration Day didn't make the album?
really?
Um,
Wow.
yeah, and there's like a weird sort of sound between Friends and Celebration Day that I think was some slight error in the tape and stuff like that that they just
Wow.
kind of maximized and made into like a feature kind of thing.
I love
But
hearing
Celebration
details
Day
like
nearly
that.
didn't make it.
I think I'd mentioned before I was listening to Rollins has his own podcast, and he
Yeah.
went through, it was like maybe the 20 year, it might be more than 20 year, 25 year or something, no, maybe more than that even, like 30 to 30 years, yeah, maybe of 35 years maybe of my War, the Black Flag album,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was an anniversary of the album, and he was going through the production of it and like all of the kind of details on the album when they were mixing it, and like he was going through like talking about certain mistakes on it, like you can hear faint stuff in the background
Yeah.
and like little issues when they're mixing tracks and stuff, and he was saying that he went through each detail, so like every time I listen to the album now I've always noticed the stuff that he pointed out, which I never would have noticed otherwise, or he'd be
That's
like,
really cool.
yeah, or he'd be like, oh, if you hear,
Yeah,
he's like, that's supposed to be an outtake, or that was supposed to be, that was where I was like shouting in the background but you can hear it. It's like there was loads of, it's like weird stuff like that, which I
that's
think,
great.
yeah,
I love hearing stuff like that as well.
it's so cool.
Or I love finding the mistakes. I think that mistakes, uh, not necessarily mistakes, if you know what I mean. They're not a bad thing. I love hearing when somebody plays like a bum note or something like that. I think that those things can be really good
I'd
on
like
albums
character
and
to the
stuff and
album,
things that
right?
you look out for.
Definitely, definitely.
Definitely.
um
Um, it's
we,
like human rather than just made by a machine.
exactly, yeah, exactly, that's a really good point actually. We've got like the whole chat, right? We'll make our way through this track listing briefly, and then we'll look at what the chat's saying, because the chat's all put in their suggestions as well, so we've got some really good ones there, like a lot of stuff that I like as well, so that's fantastic.
Nice.
Just to go for it, "Since I've Been Loving You," it's an amazing track. Robert Plant's voice on that is just so good.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, the way he
Um,
holds notes, unreal.
the way that the sort of heavy guitar comes in, like in the introduction after a little bit, is just great.
Mm-hmm. Unreal. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. It is. That's one of my favorites. And then next, like my probably we talked about it before, but my actual probably my favorite Zeppelin song, "Out on the Tiles." It's so good.
Nice, good choice.
I honestly
I
love that song so much.
I've never heard anybody say that that's their favorite Zepp song, but it's a great song.
Oh,
It's
it's
so
so good.
catchy.
I love. Yeah,
It's
just.
so punchy.
It's like it sounds so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
really,
awesome.
really
I
good.
love that so much.
Very underrated.
Yeah, totally. And then yeah, all of them are good. Gallows Paul, Tangerine's great acoustic track, very very chill. That's the way is
That's the
good.
way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the lyrics in that are just fantastic. Like
definitely.
just really haunting and
Yeah,
poignant. Just
yeah.
great.
There's a definite like poignance to that track. And then the next track is, I can't, Bron. I don't know if maybe
Bronyo Stomp.
Bron Your Stump. There you go. Yeah, and hats off
It's
to.
named after the cottage where they would stay.
Is Bron Your Stump instrumental? I can't remember.
No, it's
It's
got
not.
vocals.
Oh, it's got vocals.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
it's very acoustic guitar based.
Right,
It's great.
got it. And then hats off to Roy. Is it Roy Harper?
Yeah, it's Roy Harper.
That's
Yeah. It's an odd track, that one. I find that it's almost like a bonus track to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But it's
definitely can see that vibe. It's 10 tracks on an album as well. It's like short. It's actually
yeah,
quite a small album, really, if you think about it.
yeah, for 10 tracks as well.
For sure,
Pretty
dude.
short.
100%. And just let's have a look at the chats. Some of the chat's favorite songs there, because we'll see what everyone's into, and then we'll continue with the list that I put forward there.
All right.
So let's see. So yeah, so Lindsay and "Loving My Hate Him," Queen's got to be up there. Queen is massively influential band, obviously, and Freddie Mercury is obviously such a iconic figure.
Yeah, one of the
So
best frontmen,
yeah,
definitely.
definitely,
Such a
definitely,
performer,
yeah,
absolutely.
incredible performer. Yeah, can't undoubtable. And Charlotte is saying anything from Prince for me as well. Definitely agree with that.
Nice.
Prince is, yeah, he's a fantastic musician and so unbelievably talented. Like, favorite Prince album,
Absolutely.
maybe his first album, self-titled album. It's like I think he produced, like he played every instrument on the album. I'm pretty sure, but I think he might have had like some,
Yeah, I'm. I know he plays like every instrument ever, so
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he did most of the
yeah.
stuff on his own albums.
He may
So,
have had like some session artists fill in for stuff, but he pretty
mm,
much played all. I think he played every instrument on it. Someone confirm that. And I think he was 19 and he played every instrument on it. So it's just absolutely
crazy.
insane. Like, but I'm pretty sure
He's a
that's the crap.
fantastic musician
Yeah,
and songwriter. He's
yeah,
very good at what he does, if you know what I
definitely.
mean. Like, he's very, you know, if you hear a Prince song, you know it's a Prince song,
Yeah,
and I think that it can be deceptively difficult to write
totally.
a simple song,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean, to write something that's catchy and sort of approachable for pretty much anybody, if you know what I mean. I think
yeah.
that that can be more difficult than people think it is.
That's a really good point. And I mean, you see Prince's fingerprints over all of modern pop music. Like, it's unreal. Like, there's honestly there's a Beyonce song where she goes ooh, like really like, and then holds this note.
Oh, yeah,
It's lifted completely from a Prince song, like
yeah,
completely. He did that same
yeah.
thing, and you see his fingerprints all over all modern pop music
Mm,
and rock music because he like he's a complete pioneer, really. Um,
definitely.
yeah, he's great, man. You can't beat a bit of Prince.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I just love how like unapologetic as he is as well. He's like, yeah, I don't care if you don't like my music. He's like, this is it, and like, so
yeah,
he's a legend,
definitely.
you know.
I think whether you like his music or not, I think that you can respect him as a musician, a
Definitely.
performer, an icon, just everything really.
Yeah, yeah.
He is really iconic. I
He's,
mean, who else could be known as a symbol?
I know,
You
and
know what I mean?
that's the kind of stuff you get at Prince, and it's like just like he feels like such an embodiment of like the 80s as well, like his whole
Mm,
aesthetic and stuff. I mean, maybe
hmm.
that might be to his like a bit of a disadvantage as well of him going into the 90s and the 2000s, is kind of trying to get rid of that
Mm,
image when he was so representative of the 80s with like the
mm,
fluff collars and stuff like that, and it's like it felt like
yeah,
so, yeah, so it's hard, like the transition from that, like that was obviously when he was like the Purple Rain era, like that was at the height of his fame then, like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
um and that's such an amazing song as well. Just like it's a total anthem. Um, Okie dokie, right, and then just continuing on from that. So Gary was just saying his top five. He's got Slipknot, We're Not Your Kind, Muse, the Resistance album, The Clash, London Calling, which is an absolute classic.
Good
Dragon
choice.
Force, Inhuman Rampage, and Metallica, Master of Puppets, which is also a really classic, like
Solid
solid
metal
rock album,
choices
solid
there, I would say.
metal album. Yeah,
Yeah.
Master of Puppets is great. There's a lot of great tracks on that, and a lot of the tracks are like 7-8 minutes long on that album as well. So they're like real kind of like there's a lot like of change in those songs. Like they
Mm,
go through like different phases, which I think
yeah.
is really cool. And
Yeah.
it's a solid album. And let's see who else we've got. So yeah, Charlotte St. Kate Bush is up there for her. She just doesn't know if it qualifies as rock
Nice.
music, but she's a big
I would
Kate
say
Bush fan.
so.
Yeah, I would
I
say
would say so.
definitely. Yeah, I would say so for sure. 100%. All right, so next on the list there we've got "Sticky Fingers" by the Rolling Stones. Difficult choice because I was looking through the Stones albums once again, and they've got so many albums, like it's unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's probably it's maybe the most famous album, but it's probably my
It's a solid choice, like
yeah.
it's a good choice. Um
I,
I don't know if I mean I love the Stones. I really, really like them, but I don't know if one album could make my top five. I feel like
it's
it would
fair.
be easier to choose
A song.
a selection, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like um but I think if I was going to choose a Stones album, I mean, this is a bit of a controversial choice, but I have a soft spot for their Satanic Majesty's Request.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a really unique album, isn't it? Because it's like the most psychedelic one. It's all the tunes on that are so weird and psychedelic.
Yes and no. There's some that are really not so
Yeah,
much like that. Like Citadel's I think it was the single that they released off it, but that's a banger. And there's
he
She's a
revisited.
Rainbow that is like, pretty well known.
Oh, that's yeah,
But
that's a crack of that. I love She's a Rainbow.
but have you heard 2000 Man? Because that's really good as well.
I love
That's
two
that's pretty good.
2000 light years from that. I remember I used to buzz that 2000 light years from home. I used to rock that quite a bit. 2000 man, yeah, I'm sure I had a phase where I was listening to the album quite a bit, but not for a while. It's still with Brian Jones, that isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. He was a big influence on that album.
Yeah, Citadel, I kind of remember as well. This is definitely an album that I need to revisit of theirs. 1967, so
Yeah.
it's,
I think a lot of people slated it because they basically just thought it was like a
Sergeant
rip-off
Pepper's.
of Sergeant Pepper. But I don't know. I think there's differences to me. I think
Definitely.
they definitely hopped on the psychedelic bandwagon, if you will. But I think the album is a good album in its own right. So
In the just because you've said that, it brings me on to something slightly like on the same lines, but I was listening to kind of is it Uncle Aston and the Deadbeats.
yes,
I was listening to a
yes.
bit of those in preparation for today because I
Oh
thought that
really?
yeah, I thought I'd have a little listen because I listened a bit before
Hmm.
when you kind of mentioned it, so I thought I would listen a bit more. I listened through the Mind Control album,
Nice,
and then I
nice.
listened to the 2011 album. Is Lust for Blood, is it called?
Bloodlust.
Bloodlust, that's it. And I listened through that.
Bloodlust is if somebody wants to expand their musical horizons and listen to Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats,
Yeah,
listen to Bloodlust first. It's a great album.
I was listening to.
Um,
Go on, Ella. Yeah.
so I was just gonna say it's based on as if it's based on Witchfinder General, loosely the horror film.
Wow.
So it's based loosely on witches and witch finding and horrible witch finder and stuff. But it's got a lot of the sort of feelings of like 60s hammer horror films and stuff like that. And
Cool.
right at the start of the album, you can hear as if you're changing the channels on the TV and putting a tape into the player. And at the end, you can hear the tape running out and stuff like that, which is really cool.
That's pretty cool. I
Um,
love that. I love the little touches like that. And I think is it Uncle Acid that you're telling me about that have like a theme for each album, and it's kind of like it
yeah,
encompasses different kind of like each track's about something else, and they create like a kind of like like a world for their album kind of thing.
yeah. So most of them, except their very first album, they're all concept albums. So Bloodlust is about Witchfinder General. Mind Control is about a death cult that live in the mountains.
It's really cool.
Then what's the third album? I think it's Nightcrawler. It's about a corrupt police officer
So cool. That's cool.
that
I love
murders
that
people.
premise. It sounds very like kind of futuristic. I like that idea of that. It's like it's quite cool. Like like
It's really good, really
yeah.
really really good. Um, and they just released an album, I think in 2017, and that's great as well. And that's based on loads of. It's basically like a post-apocalyptic album where people in the cities are being controlled by computers.
That's so cool.
So,
I love that. I love
but
all of
just
that. I'm
really
such a
great.
big fan. It's so cool.
And to me, it sounds almost like they go in chronological order. They're very influenced by 60s and 70s rock, but to me, it sounds like the albums sound like they're getting later and later, as if they were being released in a different period of, like, say, late 60s,
So cool.
early 70s, mid 70s, late 70s. So it's really cool. Yeah.
I loved it. And on Mind Control, one of my favorite tracks was Death Valley Blues, which is a more kind of subdued song, but I
Yeah.
really liked it. I have to say as well, for me, I don't know if you might disagree with this, but like I felt like a strong kind of Beatles influence, and I felt like maybe
Definitely.
consciously or subconsciously, but like, and especially on Death Valley Blues, I felt like it was like Beatles on um, you know, not on acid, not on steroids, but on like something that would make them more metal, like you know, or
Yeah,
more heavy. Like so
a lot of people compare them as being like say Uncle Acid are like the love child of like the Beatles and Black Sabbath.
that's a
That's
really
kind of how a
good
lot of
kind of
people
comparison.
describe them.
And obviously, I'm a big
Um,
Beatles fan as well, and I thought that was like
mm,
really, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'm definitely gonna listen to them some more. Um, yeah, he's got like it's got like a touch of John Lennon in the voice. I think a little bit of the lead singer.
yeah,
I'm a big fan actually. I thought it sounded really good.
yeah, they're great. I've seen them live twice as well. They're really excellent. Definitely
Definitely,
one of the best gigs I've ever been to was Uncle Acid.
yeah,
Just fantastic.
I bet, man. Was that was both times when you went to see them, or was one of them at a festival?
No, I saw them both individually. I saw them the first time at Broodnell Social Club in Leeds,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next time I saw them in Newcastle at the O2.
That's cool.
Um, the Leeds one was one of the best gigs ever. I met them actually. I met the main guy, Kevin Stars, and he was lovely, just the nicest man.
That's awesome, man.
Like he has a bit of a stage persona that's like very, they all wear black, and there's a lot of like dry ice around, so they're just silhouettes
Nice. Cool.
basically. He doesn't really talk very
Yeah.
much, but when he does, it's like, super serious. But he wasn't like that at all when you
It was
spoke
just
to him. He
chill.
was just very, yeah, really chill and like really appreciative. Like the first thing he said was he just shook our hands straight away and just said, "Thank you so much for coming. I really
Oh, that's
appreciate you
awesome.
being here,"
Good
and
guy, man.
stuff like that. And just was just really lovely. So would
That's
recommend.
I think that's awesome. That's really cool. Yes. So just to run through the last two, so I'm not leaving people hanging. I picked Abbey Road by the Beatles because I couldn't live with myself without putting it. I don't listen to them as much, to be honest. I haven't listened to that album in like
Mm,
about 5 years, but it's. I grew up listening to it, and they were like one. I used to love them so much, and I think Abbey Road,
mm,
in terms of like its craft, I think it's just a really well made album, and it's like the
yeah.
thing that I love about Abbey Road is something that's a miss with a lot of modern rock music, and that is just the fact that it plays like an album. It doesn't play like track by track. It like if you listen to it together, it's like one big medley,
Mm,
and there's actually a medley in it of like 3 or 4 songs.
yeah.
And I miss that as well because obviously when people would listen vinyl, they wouldn't skip track by track. You would listen to it
No,
song
you
by
just
song. So
yeah.
that's what I love about that Abbey Road as well. It plays like a full album.
Mm,
I'm just gonna plug the laptop in, so like I'm gonna be literally 1.8 seconds.
yeah. No problem.
I just need to find the charger. So yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, give me 2 seconds. So right, hold on, I've got something for you here, which you can kind of talk about just while I've gone. Is that Charlotte said? I'm literally give you 1 second now. Lynn just
Okay.
said that the Stones have a million. No wonder they have a
Yep.
million items because they're all 92. And Charlotte said, "Is it bad to say that I don't like the Beatles? Please don't kill me."
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna talk about both of those things briefly. I'm gonna say yes. Isn't there a saying something like you know, is it something like new bands will come and go, but the Rolling Stones will go on forever or something? I think there's some kind of famous saying like that. I have to say, I do think they're old and they've probably passed their, you know, sort of peak, if you know what I mean. But I have to say, I still think that
But
they rock
oh,
pretty hard considering how old they are. I'm just saying that I think that.
right.
Oh,
Did
hang
I
on.
miss anything? Sorry.
I was just saying, I was just saying, um, that yes, the Rolling Stones are old. Yes, they've been around a very long time. Yes, they've probably passed their peak, but I still think that they rock pretty hard for old people. If you know
For
what I
sure,
mean? Like,
definitely,
I def
definitely.
Mick Jagger is, he's probably more active than I am. So, I mean, I couldn't do what he does, and he's incredible. I think, and I think that if you're gonna see a band that had their heyday in the 60s or 70s, and you want to see them now, I don't think that you could see many that would deliver the a standard that the Rolling Stones still managed to. You know
How?
what I mean?
Like,
So
how can they
that's
possibly? They
my
still
2 cents.
tour, and
Hmm.
also like, how on earth is Keith Richards still alive? Like,
I don't know.
it's
I
literally
don't
like if
know.
there's proof that there's like magic, it's magic that that man is still alive. Because literally, like, it's insane. Like you hear about the like life he had and like the stuff that he's done, and it's like unreal. It's like, how is this guy still alive? It's
It's insane.
insane.
I swear he's just it like I mean he looks like a piece of tanned leather. Maybe he's just tanned his whole skin so that like it'll never change now and he'll never die and that's it forever. Um,
It's unreal.
People say that he made a deal with the devil.
I would
So
not be. Well, I would not be surprised. Do you
whether
know the
you think that's
story
true?
about the the guitar Robert Johnson, the guitar player who apparently actually did make a deal with the
Oh,
devil?
is this the one with the crossroads?
Crossroads,
I don't
yes,
know.
yes, and apparently he actually made a deal with the devil. It's such an interesting story. Um,
It is.
Robert Johnson, American guitarist. It's yeah. So hold on. There's a so he was years active was 1929 to 1938. He's recognized as the master of the blues, like one of the like people who invented the Delta blues. And there was like stories that he had so yeah devil legend. Okay, so I've got it up here, and it says according to legend, as a young man living on a plantation in rural Mississippi, sorry, Johnson had a tremendous desire to become a blues musician. One of the legends said that Johnson was instructed to take his guitar to the crossroad near Dockery Plantation at midnight. There he was met by a large black man, in brackets the devil, who took the guitar and tuned it. The devil played a few songs and then returned the guitar to Johnson, giving him mastery of the instrument. The story of a deal with the devil at the crossroads mirrors the legend of Faust, classic German legend. And it says, in exchange for his soul, Johnson was able to create the blues for which he became famous. So it's an interesting legend, but it's probably just very racist folklore or myth that was probably made at the time because he was making music that was like unheard of, right? So that's kind of
Mm, yeah.
association with music. It's probably racist because it was around the time of plantations and stuff, 1920, 1930. Like, so I mean it's you know it was kind of still really early America. I think you know that obviously there'd been the war and stuff, and they'd abolished slavery since then, I think, but like it was still, I think, a very racist time in America. So that's probably where that rumor came from, I'd imagine. And I think that music in particular has always kind of had that kind of has always been tarnished with that, something to do with the devil or something like that. Like, if you think about rock music, like metal and stuff,
Mm,
and I mean, obviously you got bands like Sabbath who came out and they were like, they just leaned into that. They were like, okay, yeah, we'll love out like that.
yeah.
But that's always been a
Yeah.
thing, isn't it? Like, with more kind of
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, there's always been like
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think there was like a culture really of an interest in the occult, witchcraft, all of that stuff that came out in the late 60s and into the 70s. And I think that Sabbath really managed to capitalize on that. So, um, you know, some people were shocked. Some older people were like, "We can't listen to this; it's horrible." And people thought that, I mean, they use something called the tritone a lot in their songs, which is called the Devil's Interval, which was banned in classical music for a long, long time. Um,
wow, I didn't
so
know that. It's so interesting.
yeah, and they used those kind of things to appeal to a younger audience who started to have this interest in
Yeah,
slightly darker things that their parents perhaps weren't so cool with. And I think that music's always had a history of, rebellion and you know, sort of changing public opinions or
hmm
culture or
hmm
things like that. And I think it goes hand in hand with um, changes in society, really. So I don't think that's too surprising that some people are labelled as, devil worshippers or something crazy just to say that this music isn't valid. It's not allowed. It's too bad. It's too evil. We're not ready for it. So
yeah.
so I think that's kind of where some of that's come
And
from.
it's been throughout the history of music, as you were saying. And there's obviously that you said that thing in classical music, which was banned. I find that so interesting. And obviously, yeah, you got the things with the Beatles, like Paul is dead and stuff, and the people would say like
Mm,
because that he walked, because on the Abbey Road cover, they're all walking on the crosswalk, but Paul's not wearing shoes, and that's like apparently like a like some kind of Hindu symbol of the dead or something. People really leaned into it, and if you could play records backwards, they have like satanic messages. Like Paul is dead was one of the messages
Yeah,
apparently, and like there's a whole kind
yeah.
of law there.
Isn't it like there's a wreath on Sergeant Pepper's that's in the shape of a bass guitar that people
Yeah,
say is a wreath for Paul and stuff?
yeah, there's
Like
that as well.
just crazy things.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I remember as well. Like I think I saw an interview from the '90s of Marilyn Manson. Obviously, he's like quite a smart guy. I think he
Hmm.
was on Jerry Springer or like Dr. Phil or something like
Mm.
that. And he
Yeah.
was getting quizzed on like people listening to your music, and like is it you know um, going to encourage the youth to be like evil or something. And he's quite articulate actually, and I remember him giving quite an articulate
Yeah.
response about it. Um, but yeah, it's I think rock music in particular is always been tainted with that kind of brush. Um, but yeah, leading on to something else then. Let's see, I've got a couple of different things here. Let's see what direction. Okay, just because obviously just with it being a stream, I might as well just ask you a couple of questions about like this, obviously because we're doing the media savvy thing. So I know that you love illustration, and that's like one of your big things. Obviously, you do a bit of design work with us as well. You've worked on a few different projects. What kind of project has been your favorite thing that you've worked on so far, like with us? And yeah, what kind of projects do you usually do with us? Because obviously we've got our teaching side of the work, but then there's also like the more commercial aspect where we.
Mm.
So yeah, if you just like maybe go on a bit, talk about what your favorite project maybe, or
Hmm. I think the first thing that came into my head was the Essence Vodka project.
right on.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed working on that. Um, so we got approached asking, to do a rebrand for a vodka company called Essence Vodka, and it's still in process now, really. But their previous branding was very lost. There was too much kind of going on, and they didn't really know what they were aiming at. They wanted to kind of appeal to a luxury market, like a luxury vodka and
Yeah, great
stuff
use.
like that. But them, yeah, that kind of thing, and their marketing really was more for like I don't know, like a 90s style club going audience, really, which isn't what they're, where it was kind of, it wasn't matching up basically. And the idea of the Essence vodka is that it's got its own special flavored syrup that comes inside the bottle.
Yeah,
They've got these really cool bottles actually, and one opening is for the syrup and one is for the vodka.
it's pretty cool.
Um, so I, I mean, I pitched a few different ideas at them, and I pitched some things that I thought that they would like, and then I also pitched an idea that I would have liked to do, and by some miracle, they chose the one that I wanted to do.
It's awesome.
So they chose an alchemical theme. So
Nice.
think like alchemy, mixing drinks. The name Essence, it means like,
Makes sense.
you know, yeah. So it all seemed to fit together. So and the theme is, I got to draw a lot of things in the style of old manuscripts and lots of magical symbols and stuff. I feel like this is like the worst thing to talk about after talking about how rock music and the devil are like matching up, and now I'm
No,
following
but
it up with this.
it's
But
cool. I think it's really cool.
but I really enjoyed the project, and I think that the when it all gets sorted, they're going to go with the printing pretty soon, I think, and I think that they'll look really cool. And the vodka's all brewed in copper pots and things, which is quite a traditional technique. So the color scheme, originally I pitched for black and gold for like a luxury sort of feel, but then we changed it to black and copper because it seemed like it would make sense.
For sure.
And so yeah, it was just a really fun project. I got to do a lot of drawing, a lot of thinking about, you know, sort of how things would be placed on products, like labels and things for social media. They'll be thinking about, probably like business cards and other things in the future. So it was really fun to think of places where those designs might actually appear in the future and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites, I would say.
Yeah, that's
Um,
so cool. What about like so I know that one of the things that I absolutely love is some of the illustrations that you do for like us, like even in house. And I think that you've done like over like the last few years even you've done some really cool illustrations. So do you have like a favorite one that you drew? Because some of them I'm always impressed
Um,
by the kind of drawings that you do.
let's think. A few have sprung to mind. So Dan did a series on LinkedIn, where he did like an A to Z of social entrepreneurship, where he
Yeah,
talks about his experiences of running Media Savvy and being a social entrepreneur and stuff. And I did all of the illustrations for it, so that was a really fun project. And I definitely suggest you look through them because they're very well written, funny, and the illustrations. Some of them he would ask me to do things, and some of them are just wild. There's some of Dan connected to a lie detector. There's Diego on a hoverboard. There's probably one of my favorites is Dan and Diego like zooming in his car.
that is the best one ever. That one's so
That
good.
one,
I love that one
I
so
love
much.
that
I
one.
remember when I saw that one, I was like, this is absolutely amazing.
There's one of Dan in a suit of armor.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
there's there's all sorts, but I definitely encourage you to look at them. They're on Dan's LinkedIn profile, but they were really fun.
Yeah.
Um, but another thing that I've really enjoyed doing actually is I did the concept drawings for Diego's,
Do you know what it is?
our
I was going to
new
mention that.
venue.
Yeah.
So so I'm sure you've all heard of the project that we're kind of working on, the cafe and stuff like that. That'll be in our ground floor. But I did a lot of the concept drawings for those. So if you've, it's pretty wild, seeing things in the press saying artist impression next to one of my drawings, which is really really great.
Yeah.
And there's actually a couple of Easter eggs in those.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's noticed them, so you can maybe take another look at them if you haven't, if you've seen them once already. But there's a couple of things in there that people might not have spotted straight away. So you could take a look at those.
Well, also Ella's so Dan's got an article in We a Business kind of about the stuff that we do, and he mentions Diego in that. Diego, sorry, in that. And I don't know if you saw one of the pictures they used was the illustration for the calf that you did. So
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool to kind of see your work in like a magazine that you'd done.
yeah, it is. It's great. It's pretty wild, really.
It's
But
really
just
cool, man.
yeah, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like just kind of sharing an office with Ella and just seeing like sometimes on like lunch breaks and stuff some of the illustrations she's done on a notepad. I think it's like so cool. Obviously, you always got like some pretty cool ideas of like different kind of drawings and like there's usually like a fantastical element, like not always, but they look like you often draw kind of characters that look like maybe kind of medieval figures or something like
Mm,
like kind of
yeah.
yeah. So I think that's really cool. I love. Have you been working on any personal illustration stuff lately? Like doing any more kind of stuff in your notepad or anything? Or?
To be honest, not as much as perhaps I thought I would
Yeah,
during lockdown and things. I
fair.
think
Yeah,
I don't know, but I draw every day pretty much,
that's cool.
and just always drawing, even if it's nothing. To be honest, I'm trying to get out of the idea that everything that I do has to be finished or it has to be
It's a
perfect
good shout.
or or it has to be something that is going to either I don't know, it's going to be in my portfolio or I'm going to put it on Instagram or
Yeah,
whatever. Sometimes I'm trying to get into the idea that I can draw just for me as well
right.
and just to do things that I enjoy and not to worry if you know if something's not as good as I wanted it to be.
Absolutely.
But I make so if you're a member of my close family, you'll have been getting birthday, Christmas, etc. cards from me for years that are always I always draw something or paint
That's
something
so cool.
for everybody. So after 25 years, I'm starting to run out of ideas for some people. Like
Yeah,
giving my mom another Mother's Day card, and it's like like another flower on it or something. I'm like, I need to think of something else. So yeah. So but it's I enjoy thinking I can do something for somebody else that's a little bit out of my comfort zone and that is um you know but that I just have to do it as well. It sort of becomes almost the same way that I work at work, if you know what I
for
mean. I
sure.
think that when you're doing it just for you, there's no real time limit, there's no pressure, there's no um and sometimes that's a good thing, not having a critical eye on that. It's not going to it doesn't matter if somebody gets it and it's not very good, if you know what I mean. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I also
It,
enjoy working with the pressure of thinking this is for somebody, and I'm going to do something just because I think they'll like it.
Yeah,
And
it's a good point.
it's nice
Good
when
balance, right?
somebody looks at it and goes, "Oh
Well,
yeah, that's really
I
cool,"
mean,
or
yeah,
you know.
it's such a good point, Ella, and it's true. It's like one of my favorite filmmakers. He said, right, he said, like, because there was a discussion at like directors roundtable, and one of them was saying like, oh, I make films for myself. He was saying that like, I make films. It's like expression of my art, it's expression of myself.
Mm.
And then like this other guy, he's like a Spanish dude. He was like, if you were the last person on Earth, what would you go and make a film? He's like, you would never make a film if you were the last person on Earth, because who's going to go and see it? So he was saying that we make
Yeah.
art for other people. It is definitely an expression of ourselves, but when someone else appreciates something you make, then of course it's lovely and it is nice. So I totally agree. There is the kind of like the sublimation and like the fact that you're getting something out there, you're expressing a part of yourself, but at the same time you're totally right. It's like you want to share that, you want people to kind of appreciate it and be able to kind of relate to it. So that's the thing. So definitely quite a good point there. I got an article up, right, just because I thought that you would really like this one, because it's right. And wait till you hear it. 'Cause I thought this was very like Ella kind of article. So here we have, right. This is the title, Ella. It says, "Behold the forgotten English rainbow cave that's said to have healing powers."
That sounds amazing. Behold, what a start!
So
That's great.
So I don't know if you got the YouTube up now, but you can have a look after. It's just on goodnews@network.org, and it says these stunning pictures show inside a forgotten sea cave that is thought to have special healing powers. And it says
that sounds amazing.
It says that, right, the multicolored grotto was one of Britain's most mysterious sights and attracted huge numbers of visitors during the 17th and 18th centuries.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it says
it looks fun.
Yeah, it says in those days, pilgrims and the sick would make their way to the cave to drink the healing waters from the holy well. But in recent decades, it's become largely secluded and unknown. It's in Holywell in Cornwall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know that you have plans to go there maybe later in the year. So maybe that might be one to check out.
Definitely. Thanks for that. That's great. I'm gonna definitely visit. I'll have to do an update afterwards and let you know how the healing rainbow cave went.
So it's known as St Cuthbert's Cave, and it creates mineral deposits, leaving its stones red, green, blue, and yellow.
Fantastic.
And it was once described as the elixir of life in 19th century writings. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, it's so cool. It reminds me a lot of Mother Shipton's Cave. If you have ever heard of that, I don't know if anyone's heard of Mother Shipton's Cave.
You told me about that. And I completely
but
forgot
it's
about it.
it's in, I think it's North Yorkshire, and it's, I think, supposed to be England's oldest visitor attraction.
Wow.
And basically it's a petrifying well. So people have been mystified for years that this water can turn things into stone, when really it's to do with the high mineral content in the water, and people thought that it would heal them and stuff like that. It's actually not very safe to drink or be in the water, so you shouldn't go in it. But people used to. But there is also it's called Mother Shipton's because of basically there's a legend of a young girl that was outcast from her society for, basically she gets pregnant out of wedlock and stuff like that, and but I think she's one of those weird like seventh daughter of the seventh son or something like that, and basically she's outcast from society, and she has to go, and she basically lives in this cave and has to give birth in this cave, and she gives birth in like a lightning storm or something like that. And this baby is supposed to have magical powers, and that is Mother Shipton. And apparently she prophesied loads of stuff that came true, and just generally was a bit witchy. But it's a cool place though. It's really peaceful. There's like a forest, and the well's really cool, and I think a lot of famous people have been there. So lots of famous people have left stuff at the well to get petrified. Like I think I don't know if it's either some one of our royals I think has left like a shoe there, and there's like loads of like random people's
Wow,
gloves and hats and
sounds
stuff
so
like that.
cool.
They've got like a little museum where you can see all the petrified stuff. Which,
I definitely want to go.
yeah,
Um,
it's just an odd place, but like really nice and peaceful.
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Would
So
recommend.
Lynn is saying that it's in Nesborough, right? And she was saying petrifying thing,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
she's saying that loads of teddies and stuff turned to stone. So that's so cool.
Yeah, that's right. They sell the petrified teddies and stuff like that,
Wow,
and they send them all over the world. So yeah,
wow.
pretty cool.
And yeah, Charlotte's saying that the Rainbow Cave can be our next photography place. Yeah, we'll see. You know what it is? My A couple of my friends recently went up to Cornwall, and I definitely want to go there. I know you've been. Maybe you could possibly. What's your thoughts on it? Because I'd like to go there. I've never been there before, and it's somewhere I've wanted to go for like a while, but I'm not sure. Is it?
It's really magical. Just a fantastic place. It's sort of have I frozen or something?
You
Am I
did for a
good?
second. It's fine now.
Okay. Um, it's I would say it's weird. It's like a cross between the Lake District and the nicest beach you've ever been to. It's
Wow,
very there's a
sounds
lot of
awesome.
countryside,
Yeah.
but it's also like nautical at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
And um, I remember just standing out on top of the cliffs from Tintagel Castle and just looking out into the sea, and
Sounds
there's
lush.
just nothing. It's weird. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
just there's lots of. It's like a weird place. There's lots of like characters around, and just, but yeah, I loved it. Fantastic. And if you're interested in anything slightly odd, weird folklore, definitely go to the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
sounds awesome. Yeah, it's definitely on my list. I want to go. I've never been there before, and also I really want to go to like kind of places in the Scottish Highlands and stuff because I keep seeing like pictures on
Yeah,
like I know some of them are really cliche, but like Instagram travel stuff and things, and not just that, but like different like travel pages. And I keep seeing, I'm like, whoa, where's that?
yeah,
And then I look and it's like in Scotland, and I'm like,
yeah.
wow, it's like we've got that in Scotland, and
Like
it's
the
like,
Isle of Skye and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
love to go there.
unreal. And yeah,
Yeah.
my grand goes to Isle of Skye every year. She absolutely loves it, and
Mm,
I do really want to go there and check out some of the places they've got there because it looks really really cool.
yeah,
Um,
fantastic. I would love to go. Yeah.
yeah, it seems awesome. And right, so I've got a couple more things, and then we'll get
Okay.
ready to start wrapping up. But I've went on Atlas Obscura because it's something that you told me about many moons ago, and
Hmm.
I looked at in Newcastle. And I found this quite interesting thing here, and I don't know if we've spoke about this before, Ella, but it's the vampire rabbit of Newcastle.
I wondered if it was going to be the vampire rabbit. Yeah.
Really interesting.
It's weird. Have you seen it? Have you
I
actually
haven't.
seen it yet?
I actually haven't.
I have. It's weird. It's so strange. You just think, like, if you don't know it's there, you wouldn't look. But if you do, you just like, what is going on?
It's
It's
so
it's pretty
interesting.
cool. It's just up from the quayside. So if you imagine the little roundabout thing under
Yeah,
the sort of bridgy bit on the quayside, and then if you walk up towards where the castle is, on that little bit there.
that sounds awesome, and it's saying that the century-old grotesque has a mysterious history and may actually not be a rabbit, but it's saying that yeah, it's perched above the door in the cathedral building for St Nicholas Cathedral for over 100 years, but nobody knows why the blood-sucking lepus, hopefully that's right, is was created. So that's quite. I like that. Like no one really knows why. I mean, that seems so interesting.
I think it's probably just I don't know. It was probably just a grotesque of some kind, and then people have been like, "Oh, it looks like a rabbit. I'm going to paint it, and then I'm going to paint blood on its teeth, and it's just going to suddenly look like something else."
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that makes sense to be fair. Yeah,
I think that's how it is, but it is pretty cool. Definitely have a look at it next time you're
it's
in Newcastle.
there was a thing in Durham, and I don't even think it's on Atlas Obscura, but it was something that always stuck out to me. And every time I was walking in Durham with someone, I pointed out to them, and every time they were kind of surprised to see it. Um, I don't actually know if it's still there. It's very sad if it's not. I'm probably quite sure it probably isn't there because it's changed a lot since when I was younger. But there used to be where Top Man is.
Yeah,
I don't know if people know Top Man, Bella Italia, and then on the opposite side you've got
yeah.
Esquires. I think it's called Silver Street. I'm not sure. Right on the bridge on Millburn Gate Bridge, there was on one of the walls next to Top Man to the left. It was like quite high up, like say second floor. There
I think I
was
know what you're going to
a
talk about.
painting outside,
Yes, yes,
and
yes. I know. Like as soon as you see it, you're like, when did that get
I
there?
know.
And like, but yeah, if you haven't spotted it yet, and I think a lot of people haven't because I
Yeah,
think a lot of people don't look up that far,
I know.
if you know what I mean. But it's really cool. Definitely look. It's like a man, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
sort of. I don't know.
but
Looks like sort of
it's so
17th,
weird.
18th century man
I
or
know.
something like that. Like,
Just
is
on
he
that.
wearing blue? Maybe I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
think
But
he is. Yeah,
um,
I don't know the context, and I haven't found out why it's there. I'm not sure
no,
if it's still there
no
or it's been took down, but
idea.
I'd like to find out a bit more information about that.
I think it's still there.
It should
I
still
think
be
it
there,
is
right?
still there, but I wouldn't have thought it would have gone.
I want to
But
find out. I'm gonna get to the bottom of that. I'm gonna try and find out what the crack is. Hopefully, it's not being took down because I used to point it out to everybody, and they'd be like, "Whoa!" Like they'd never noticed it before. People had lived in Durham the
yeah,
whole life. The
I know.
one more thing that we can have a quick look at here, Ella, is the Literature and Philosophy Society.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the Little Phil.
yeah, the Lytton Phil, and it's this gorgeous space is England's largest independent library outside of London. Um, and I still haven't been there, and it looks absolutely lovely. To be fair,
I have been, and I actually sang there one time.
really, wow.
Um,
What's it
not
like?
not with my current band.
Okay, yeah.
With it's really cool. It's very it's almost Disney like inside, if you know what I mean. It's very
For
very
sure.
picturesque, very I don't know, it feels like something on Harry Potter or something inside.
It
Um
has that vibe.
it's great, it's lovely.
So yeah,
Really, really cool.
it looks absolutely lush, and it's so it was originally founded in 1793 as a gentleman's conversation club.
Believe they do bookbinding there. I think there's a bookbinders club.
Wow.
I think that's one of the way that I've found out about it. But yeah, I sang there one time um, with like a couple of other people, like just classical music and stuff. But it was lovely. It was a good experience. But I've never been in there, without sort of something specific to do there, if you know what I mean. I've
Yeah.
never just visited casually, if you know what I mean. So I'm not sure what the policies on visiting are, but
I was just about to say, is it? I wonder if is it open to the public? Can you like go in and rent books from there, or like what's the deal? I don't actually know.
I'm really not sure. So I've never been just for a browse or anything like that.
Yeah,
But it's great.
I definitely want to go. I'm gonna try and find out. Obviously, with coronavirus stuff, it's difficult to kind of
Mm,
see when public spaces and stuff are going to be open. So or like public buildings. So it's like it's tough with things like that. So I'll check it out though. But
mm,
I definitely want to have a look. I want to take some pictures as well. I want to take a picture of some of the lights and just get a shot of all these books because it's awesome. Like it kind of reminds me slightly of it's quite different, but in Dublin they've got the in Trinity College they've got the long room, which is like a library, and it's like this huge long corridor which has got like it just looks awesome.
yeah,
It's quite similar. Um,
that's really cool.
so yeah, I think that definitely want to check it out. And yeah, Charlotte is just saying she's definitely going to visit the Vampire Rabbit when she's in Newcastle in the next couple of weeks. So definitely do it, Charlotte.
It's worth visiting. Make sure you look up. It's quite high up, so
Yeah,
it's maybe I think it might be easier to see if you're coming down rather than if you're going up towards the quayside. I think it faces the castle side.
it's a good shout. Okie dokie, guys. So I would say we are about at time, but it's been good fun. Ella, I am gonna post the survey link in the chat now, guys. Just
I'm
give me
gonna
two
I'm gonna
points.
say one last thing,
See, yeah, of
and
course,
it's
absolutely.
that I didn't actually say my 5 albums, so this is it.
Oh, well, yeah,
Here it
you've had
is, the
you've had a bit of
definitive
time to mull
choice.
on it now, so let's hear it, man.
Yeah,
Let's
this is just the of right now. I'll probably change my mind and be
okay.
like, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that. But I'm gonna go Thin Lizzy Jailbreak,
Oh, dude,
Led
so
Zeppelin
good.
3,
So good.
Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Nice.
I'm gonna go King Tough Black Moon Spell,
Cool.
which I would recommend you all look up. And last one, Tubular Bells.
Nice.
That's my choice. That's my
Nice.
5 albums.
Brilliant.
There we
Oh,
go.
absolutely great. And yeah, fantastic. Thin Lizzy Jailbreak. Awesome, man. That's class. I think you kind of got me. I liked Thin Lizzy, but you got me more into them because I know you're a big fan of them, and just listening to them a bit
Massive
more,
fan.
they absolutely rock. They're so good.
Just listen to Jailbreak if you haven't listened to it. It's great. If you like rock music, just listen to Jailbreak and then listen to the rest because they're great.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Cracking. All right, so the server's in there, guys. And yeah, that's it. I think. Yeah, if anyone's got any other questions for Ella, just get them in now, super quick. And if not, we are gonna go. Do you have anything you'd like to add at all? Obviously, you just put your albums out there, which is great, Ella. You happy with that?
I think that's all good.
Yeah, it's been.
I didn't expect to talk about this. I have to say.
That's the thing.
I wasn't expecting rock music.
Yeah, that's it, man. But yeah, I wanted to. I'm actually, to be honest, like even if we were streaming or not, it's something that I'm actually like interested in. So it's interesting to know that actually. So yeah.
I feel like I've picked some classics, like, but there's definitely,
Oh yeah, same with me.
it will be. It would be easier for us to choose 10. I think.
Yeah.
Like.
True.
But,
5 in rock's such a general category as well. Like I could pick my favorite metal albums. I could pick my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, like you name it, like favorite indie album, like whatever. I could pick like 5 different subgenres of rock for each thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lynn's got actually quite a good question there.
Okay.
Is there anything of Ella's we can listen to? I know that your album was in production, but I don't know what's like. Is it still? Kind of.
Okay, so the update on that is that there currently isn't really an update.
Right.
So we recorded our album in January. It's pretty much ready to go. I will let you all know when it comes out. But currently nothing really because we were going to release it around the time that lockdown happened. But part of the reason that we wanted to even release it in the first place was to get better gigs in other places.
Fair.
So there's not much point in releasing it at the moment just because the sort of whole point of releasing it is to play more gigs and get a bit of traction. So we're going to save it until gigs are more able to happen, then we can put it out and hopefully people will be like, oh yeah, that band still exists. But we're working on some other things as well, so once that gets released we'll start working on the next things. So we do have a few things sort of in the pipeline. But if somebody's really, really desperate to hear something, just drop me an email and I'll see what I can do about it. But yes, I'll update you all if there's some way you can hear us. Fantastic. But thanks for asking.
So yeah, keep yes, so get ready for that, guys. Ella's album coming soon. Once it's out, you'll be able to have a little listen to it. And yeah, likewise, whenever it's up on Bandcamp or whatever, just let me know, man, and I'll definitely buy that 100%.
Thank you.
Dying to listen to it, man. Good stuff. Okay, I think that's it then, guys. I hope everyone has a good weekend, has a nice bank holiday Monday. And I'm going to put the advice lines up for maybe like just a couple of minutes. And then that's it, guys. But otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in, and we appreciate you guys stopping back.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.